Hey guys, it's Peyton, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in January. This video is kind of late, so oops to that, but here it is. I also uploaded a bookshelf tour, so be happy about that. Finally, I did that. I read 7 books in January, which is a pretty good start to 2020. I'm pretty happy about that. But before I get into the books, I want to mention that I am one of the nominees or whatever for the BookTube Awards thing that's happening on Twitter. I'm going to put a link down below so you can go vote for me because it made me so happy that I even got like acknowledged and put in this little thing. Probably not gonna win, but I still would appreciate if you voted for me if you would like to. And there's a bunch of other great booktubers on there as well, so go check it out if you haven't heard of it already. So let's just go ahead and get into the books that I read. The first book that I read in January was Criers War by Nina Varela. I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The big reason that I picked this book up is because it is a female romance in a fantasy setting. That made me want to read it really bad. And the big catch to this book is that it's about this world, kind of futuristic. There's these people that are called autome, and they're pretty much machine type people, cyborgs, but they have real feelings and they have hearts and they have blood and like they're as close to human as you can get from technology. And one of our main characters is one of those, and she is named Crier. I love how I forgot that, and her name is in the title. She is the daughter of the sovereign of all the people. He's an autome because, yes, the humans created the autome, but let's just say the autome freaking took over the whole world, and now the humans are their slaves. It completely twisted. And the autome have killed so many humans, and the main character Crier doesn't really realize this to the extent that it is. And then we have another main character named Ayla. Her family was killed by these autome, and she ends up becoming the handmaiden of Crier, but she's not your typical handmaiden because she wants to murder Crier so she can make the sovereign feel the pain that she felt by killing something that he loves. So it's an enemies to lovers thing because Ayla and Crier kind of like canoodle. They kind of feel something. It's mostly Crier kind of having a massive crush on Ayla, and Ayla starts to soften, but throughout the whole book she's still pretty much planning to murder her. So it's really interesting to read about. It was a 4.5 because I just couldn't fully give it that 5 stars. I didn't feel it in my heart. And like there's tabs, but they're just really not that many. I'm excited to read the second book because I believe this is a duology. The next book that I read was The Star SweetSteal by Alexa Dunn. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and this is actually an ARC that I got sent for review by the author, so thank you so much for that. The book actually came out earlier in February, so you can go pick it up now. I really enjoyed this book. This is her second book. She wrote Brightly Burning, which I really enjoyed. I have like a reading vlog somewhere of me reading that, and I really liked that one. So I was super excited to hear that she had another book coming out. It is a young adult sci-fi, which is not normally what I go for, but Alexa Dunn makes me read it. You know, I want to read it. She's really good. I discovered her because she has like a writing YouTube channel, and she gives great advice, so I couldn't help but want to read her books. This book is pretty much The Bachelor in space, and it makes me so happy because if you don't know me, I'm a massive fan of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and that's what made me read the selection. Like I love that storyline or type of plot where they're dating a lot of people and they have to make decisions and shit. I love that. This book follows Leo. She lives on a spaceship with her sister and her father, and they're like princesses, royalty shit, but they're really not. They're in the future, and they're pretty much from a bloodline of royalty, but it's no longer, but they still hold on to those titles because they want to be cool, you know? So they're actually out of money at the moment. Her father is pressuring her and her sister to take place in the Valg, which is this like month-long dating thing where the rich try to marry each other off. Her dad wants her to marry somebody rich so that they don't go broke and die. But Leo really doesn't want this. She has a different plan that hopefully will make her money, but it doesn't seem to be going that well. And guess who shows up to participate in the Valg? Her ex-boyfriend that she actually almost married. So that hurts. There's a lot of angsty moments because of that, because they were in a serious relationship and now he's like trying to date other people in front of her, and oh, do they still have feelings for each other? You're just gonna have to find out. It's super enjoyable. But in the end, I just couldn't give it that full 5 stars, but still had so much fun reading this. I was flying through it for sure. The next book I read was actually a reread for me. I just had to. I had to prepare for a book that's coming out very soon. So I reread Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. I actually reread it on audiobook, and I had the best time rereading this. This is actually my 3rd time reading this book, but I read this series originally in middle school, and now I'm in college, and I'm a longtime fan of this trilogy, the Infernal Devices trilogy. It's a part of the Shadowhunter Chronicles, as I'm sure you probably know, and I think it is Cassandra Clare's best work. Personally, I am obsessed with the characters. The main thing about this trilogy for me is the characters. The plot, I'll admit, is not the most genius thing in the whole world, but I love the characters, the character moments, the character relationships. It makes me want to die sometimes. I love it so much. This book follows Tessa Gray in the 1800s Victorian England. She actually starts off in New York, but her aunt dies, and that was like her only family left other than her brother, who is currently in London. So she decides to move to London so she can be with her last family member, which is her brother. And when she gets to London, she gets kidnapped by 2 freaking evil warlock bitches. One day, maybe William Herondale, a shadow hunter, finds her, saves her, and that just makes it sound like shit. Like, she could have saved herself, but like, whatever. And she is swept into the Shadowhunter world, and she finds out she might not be human. Oh no. This book is kind of like steampunk. There's a lot of mechanical shit in here. I don't know how else to explain that, but really, my favorite thing about this series is the characters. I love them so much. They make my heart flutter. And if you don't know that there is a new book coming out, I think March 3rd, Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, and it follows pretty much the children of the people in this trilogy, and I've been waiting for this book for so long because this was announced forever ago, and it's actually gonna be here, so I cannot wait to get it in my hands and devour that book. It's gonna be so amazing, I feel like, because you'll find out. I'll keep talking about this series as this video goes on. The next book that I read in January was Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera, and I'm not going to go much into this book because I did a whole like 20-minute long rant review on this book where I completely went in with all of my feelings. I'll just say I didn't really like it, and I gave it a 2.5 stars out of 5 stars. It's not the worst book I ever read, but I just was really disappointed by it. I was enjoying it at first, and then it went downhill. So go watch that video if you want to know. It's pretty much just a urban fantasy thing. It's not marketed as a superhero book, but that's pretty much what it is. The next book that I read in January is Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. This is the 2nd book in the Infernal Devices, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I don't think I said I gave the first book in this trilogy a 5 out of 5 stars, but I definitely did. So just letting you know, I love these books so much. This one just expands. It's even better than the first one, and I just love my characters, Jim, Will, and Tessa, so much. They're my babies, and I love Charlotte and Henry and like all of them. I love them so much. I love Magnus Bane. Magnus Bane is in this. He's pretty much in every single series that Cassandra Clare has written because he is immortal, and it's so cool to see him in all these different time periods. Definitely one of my favorite characters of all time. Really don't have much more to say other than I'm obsessed and love these books so much. The next book that I read was Ghosts of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, Maureen Johnson, Kelly Link, and Robin Wasserman. That is a lot of authors. This is a novella collection. It follows Jem Carstairs, and I really cannot tell you much about this because it can spoil the Infernal Devices trilogy so hard. Yeah, I really can't even tell you the plot of this. This is a novella collection that you have to read before Chain of Gold. A lot of people probably don't think it's necessary, but it introduces a bunch of characters that will be in that book. And if you haven't heard of how Whitney from Witty Novels like read Chain of Gold without reading any of the novellas, she says she wished she did because she felt like there's a lot missing. So I really just recommend that you read Ghosts of the Shadow Market. It was actually so good. I normally don't really want to read novella collections, but this one was so good. I enjoyed it so much. It literally had me crying because it has to do with my favorite trilogy. Well, one of my favorite trilogies, because, you know, The Hunger Games. And just characters that I love so much. There's flashbacks, there's new stuff in present day, and it's just so fabulous. I loved it, and it just made me even more excited for the release of Chain of Gold. I just think it's gonna be amazing. Cannot wait for this new book. Please read this. Please don't make the mistake of not reading these freaking novellas before Chain of Gold. Please do it. And the final book that I read in January, probably not too shocking, Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I love it so much. It is the third book in the Infernal Devices, and it hurts so bad. I remember the first time I read it, I literally sobbed for over an hour after finishing it because it hurt that bad. It hurt so bad. I've never cried that much in a book, believe it or not. Like, this one hit me so hard in the feelings, I just can't get over it. It's really just the characters. The plot is some dookie, but like, if you feel these characters, it doesn't matter. So that's how I feel. Go read The Infernal Devices, please. So those are all the books that I read in January. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like it, comment down below. Have a good day. Please subscribe. Make sure to follow all my social medias, which are linked down below, and go click the bell button, which is right by the subscribe button, which you should have already clicked, and goodbye.